Hello and welcome to the Gaming with Science podcast, where we talk about the science behind some of your favorite games.
Today we're going to discuss Primates by Green Butterfly Games. Hey, welcome back to Gaming with Science. This is Brian.
This is Jason.
And wait, we've got some other people here. Will and David, you're back.
We're back. Can't get rid of us.
No, well, not that we would want to. Actually, this whole reason that this entire episode happened is actually your fault. So please explain yourself.
Oh, that's true. This game was sent to us.
We were sent it as a gift from one of our listeners.
Yeah. Oh, we should have looked up who it was that sent it to us. That would have been real good to get the name.
Thank you, anonymous listener of another podcast.
Common descent listener, whoever you are, thank you and make yourself known. You guys got a game and you said, well, we know some people who like to play science games. And you approached us, which is totally different because that's not how this works around here. We usually have to chase people down.
We got the gift. I think we received it shortly after the last time we recorded with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it was a really cool, because it's a perfect game for your podcast.
Absolutely.
We thought it would be super fun. And so, it was one of the first things we did is we said, hey, do you guys want to play this? Do you want to come back and play this game with us?
Yeah, and we did, and it was fun, and we even did it the weekend of the museum meetup at Fernbank, which again is going to date this episode, but whatever, that's fine. We're releasing this episode that will also be our episode that's closest to Darwin Day, so it's also a good game for Darwin Day. So I'm excited to talk about this game. It has a huge amount of science content, and I'm excited about the conversation we're going to get to have about primates and how they're weird. But before we get into that, why don't we do a little bit of science banter? Anything you guys would like to talk about?
One that's on my mind because I literally just finished taking notes on it for one of our news sections, which will come out before this, so I won't be spoiling our news. It was a study on dung beetles that have evolved to be necrophagous, so eating dead bodies.
Do they roll them up into little balls?
Yeah, and this is a thing that I was aware of. We talked about this in the decomposing episode. There are beetles that basically roll up a bit of a meatball and roll it away, bury it, and let their young feed off of it.
Okay.
Instead of dung. Yeah.
Meatballs. That's a different meaning of meatball.
Yep. And there's a group of dung beetles that have evolved to do this, and they studied it by finding those underground
meat
open like burrows that they used to. There are ichnofossils, trace fossils of these burrows that have preserved, and you can tell which kind of beetle does it because they build the burrow differently.
Interesting.
And so they were able to figure out the timing of the evolution, because originally the idea was that, well, when the big herbivores that the dung beetles were eating the dung of died, they had to switch to something else. And so during the megafaunal extinction not too long ago in our Earth's history, that must have been when the beetles switched over. But when they looked at the dating, it found out, no, they were eating meat well before the big herbivores started dying out. So what it seems is more likely is there were so many herbivores and so much dung and so many dung beetles that competition forced some dung beetles to have to start doing something differently because there was too much competition and too much to go around. So the herbivores now were just feeding dung beetles while alive and then flesh-eating dung beetles while dead.
What an unusual form of niche partitioning, and also meatball trace fossils.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very cool.
So which megafauna mass extinction was this? Is this like dinosaur mass extinction, or is this like 10,000 years ago mass extinction?
Yeah. The 10,000 years ago with the mammal megafaunal mass extinction. This was a study focused on South America, so this would have been a lot of the American big animals that would have been these dung beetles would have been living alongside of like big marsupials and things like that.
Were there coprophagous organisms that are known from like the Jurassic? I know we like to talk about how sauropods must have been crazy ecosystem engineers, but they must have been producing huge amounts of waste.
There are dung beetle fossils in coprolites in the fossil record. I think they go back to the Mesozoic, although I'm off the top of my head, I'm not sure. But there are dung ball fossils, like coprolites that are specifically rolled up into balls and have often dung beetle larval burrows inside.
Interesting. So it would be absolutely insane if basically the origin of dung beetles corresponds with sauropods, because of course it would.
Well, it's like someone was definitely doing the job. I just don't know which group of insects it was, because how could you not take advantage of that?
All right. What about you, Jason? You said you found a thing too?
Yes, so I was looking up things about primates, and I found one about humans recently, which we're primates, so that counts.
Yeah, absolutely.
This was a recent one on our peak energy expenditure. So basically, there's the question of what is the capacity for human endurance? Like how many calories can you actually burn sustainably? And so they took a bunch of high endurance performance athletes, like people that are doing all sorts of crazy endurance feats, and they gave them a bunch of labeled heavy labeled isotopes, like heavy hydrogen, heavy oxygen, so they could trace it.
You got to have that nice, sweet, heavy water.
Yes. So, and again, I don't know all the details. Suffice to say, let them determine how much they were metabolizing, how many calories they were burning. And they found that for these extreme athletes, the limit was about 2.5 times their basal rate. So your basal metabolic rate is how much your body burns when you're just lying there. It's how much it takes to pump your heart and to breathe and to maintain your organs and such. And they've known that, so in short bursts, you can go up to 10 times that amount. If you're doing a super endurance run, like I know someone who did a 24-hour run. I think he's a little crazy, but he did it.
I'm sorry, what?
You run for 24 hours. That's the goal.
No, you don't.
No, thank you.
I don't want to run for 24 seconds.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when you do that, you're actually burning calories faster than you can metabolize them in. You cannot digest food fast enough to replace those calories. So that's not sustainable. So they found that over the course of 6 months, as these people were doing their hyper endurance stuff, it averaged out to about 2.5 times. And that when they were performing their really high endurance stuff, they subconsciously cut down on other things like fidgeting or walking around or other stuff. So they cut back on their other caloric expenditure in order to keep it to about that amount. And the hypothesis is that that's about as fast as you can actually metabolize calories, because it takes calories to digest your food. And the thought is that about 2.5 times your basal rate is probably as much as you can physically ingest and absorb at your peak. And so that's the hypothesis anyway. Obviously, there's other stuff to be proven, but they seem to have done some good work showing, okay, this is the limit of how far over the long term you can actually burn.
Interesting. Bad news for speedsters.
Yeah.
Well, then you just tap into the Speed Force, and that's a source of infinite energy.
This is why the Flash has the Speed Force, is to overcome
the Speed Force is actually
physiological
all
limitations. Yes, that's all it is. It's a dimension made of calories. I'd be fascinated to know, and I don't know how we would do this, but to see what that kind of study would find in other species.
Yes.
Is their version of this different? Are they able to maintain a higher activity level?
So I think the best surrogate for this study is probably cats.
Yeah. Well, and dogs
cats
too
are
as well.
Interesting. I was going to say dogs, because cats, even wild cats, are not very active animals. Like lions are famous for they sleep 18 hours a day or something, right? They really are rest most of the day and then do some bursts of activity. Dogs, I think, would be an excellent comparison, because dogs actually have a lot of the same physical adaptations as humans for mobility and for traveling and for covering long distances. They're cursorial animals, as we are. And dogs would also be nice because you can train a dog to do whatever you need it to do for this study.
Yep.
Cursorial means running?
Cursorial means adapted for running.
Okay.
So horses are cursorial, dogs and wolves, all canines are cursorial. And common adaptations you see across those three groups include large lung capacity, certain types of thermoregulatory. We sweat, dogs pant. These very particular adaptations for maintaining body temperature, and the shape of our legs. Dogs, horses, and humans all have very long legs that tend to also be very thin. One of my favorite things to compare, if you have a cat and a dog handy, and you look at the shape of the limbs in a cat and a dog legs, almost all the muscle is up on the top, and then it becomes this stick toward the end, and the fingers on the paws are long and narrow. The foot is sort of long and narrow. If you look at a cat, their arms tend to be muscular all the way down. Their arms are much more flexible, and their paws are a little bit wider and shorter. Because cats are grapplers. Cats are using their arms to wrestle and grab and pull. Dog arms are really built to do one thing, and that is to walk. That is to move, and they're really efficient at it.
It's so cool.
And so humans would be the only cursorial primate. Yes, like I've seen other primates try to run. It doesn't work out so well.
No, we are actually, there's a bunch of hypotheses that we are specifically adapted for running, not just for walking on 2 feet, but that some of the anatomy of especially our lower bodies is specific, not good for walking, but specifically good for running. We are running adapted primates.
Well, I don't think we could ask for a better transition into the discussion of this game. So I think we should take advantage of that and start talking about Primates, the board game. I'm going to start by introducing the game. We're going to, deal with that particular challenge and how the game works. And then we're going to jump into a conversation about what is a primate? Where did they come from? And how do we relate to the rest of them as, weird, very weird bipedal primates? Okay, so Primates is a game that was designed by Derek Coons. I looked this person up a little bit. So he is a graduate of Miami University in Ohio, another computer scientist person who made his way into board games, but actually was one of the founding members of Mercy for Animals. So very interested in sort of animal rights and that aspect, which actually you can see some of that reflected in the game. So I'm not sure what inspired the creation of Primates, but I'm very glad that it did, because this is an incredibly detailed game about primates and primate evolution. So what does the game look like? It's a very space-hungry game. Let's start with that. Like when we all sat down to play, it took the majority of the table to sort of just lay this out. And there's a reason for that. You have a large, beautifully illustrated, simplified phylogenetic tree of the history of primates. It's split down into 6 major branches. The reason that the board is so big is you've got 6 different groupings of primates, and these are regular size playing cards. So you can kind of imagine if you're going to stack up 6 of these side by side, it's just going to take up some space. You have slightly oversized cards as well that are going to represent extinct primates. So the tree is split into 6 groups. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about all those groups later in more detail. You've got oversized, chunky wooden meeples representing, I'm trying to remember what all of them were. There's an orangutan for sure. I think there's a bush baby. There's definitely a lemur in there at some point. Or maybe it was a tarsier. I don't know. I'm sure they were trying to pull from across the primate family tree.
I will say the meeples are the best part of this game.
The best part
They're
of this
the most they are the most adorable meeples I've ever seen.
They are very
really
cute.
good.
So the board is a phylogenetic tree of primates and how they relate to one another, but it's also representing a real physical tree at the same time. So the goal of the game is to take your little meeples and you're moving them up the branches to the top of each of these 6 different extant primate families. When you get to the top, you get to take one of the cards that is there. And that card will represent a member of that family, and usually we'll tie it to a specific ability. So, for instance, orangutans, if you get the orangutan card under the great apes, it has an ability called Tree Swaying, which lets you jump from branch to branch on the phylogenetic tree, which we think is a wonderful representation of that ability. There may be things that are affecting their ability to collect food or stuff like that. Positioned on the tree, you'll have little primate skull icons that are representing extinct primates along those different lineages. And you're also going to populate with different sort of food tokens. And there are, I think it's animal protein, there's plants, fruits, and then there's like a wild card that's supposed to be like saps or exudates or something like that. I think it's a wild card because sometimes you're licking honeydew, which is just what comes out of the back of an insect. So it's kind of vegetable, it's kind of animal, it's both. It's a wild card.
Post-processed vegetable.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's see. The movement of your primates up the tree is actually something where it is a roll to move, kind of. It's still very strategically choiced. It's not Candyland. So you're going to roll 3 dice. They have either 1, 2, or 3 on them. You can either move all 3 of your little primate meeples on different branches, or you can move use 2 dice and move 1 of your meeples an extra far distance. When you get to the top of the tree, you get to collect a card. The only other mechanic is if you rest, you can get these bonus cards. And a lot of those have this sort of, if you think about mercy for animals, a lot of those are about legislation to protect animals or to protect primates. Or that's where you'll also get your set mechanics, where you're trying to collect, you'll get extra points for collecting all of the primates from China or something like that, or other sort of interesting groupings. When you collect those, there's this secondary track called the heart track. You can also get points from that. Most of your points are going to come from collecting your primates at the top, collecting your little bonus primate sets, and your heart track that runs across the bottom. And I think that's all the ways you get points in this game. Jason, what am I forgetting?
No, I think that mostly covers it. You've got your primary points you get from picking up the various extant or extinct primates. Mm-hmm. You've got your bonuses. You've got the heart track. And I think you may have some bonuses for food at the end you haven't eaten, which you use the food to buy various other things. So it's a resource, but it's also worth points at the end.
Yeah, usually that's true. Whenever there's some resource, they usually throw a couple extra points if you got a bunch of those sitting around. Usually it's only going to be there to help break ties. You're never going to win a game from hoarding a bunch of like food cubes. I don't
can attest. That's where most of my points came from. When we played, that was where most of my points were from, was my leftover food.
Oh, okay. But actually, this is the different from when we played Holotype, because I think you spanked everybody in Holotype.
Yes, that one I did well.
But I think in this version, I think David spanked everybody, if I'm remembering correctly.
I think Jason and I feel, if I remember correctly, we were sort of neck and neck.
Yeah, and I honestly don't remember which one of us was ahead.
I also don't. Yeah, I think the difference was like,
yeah, okay. David and I were up ahead, and then the rest, you other two, were way behind. Sorry.
Yep.
I was just enjoying the game. That's the excuse I always give for why I lose pretty much every time we play.
We sat down before we played. Brian was like, "I haven't played in a while, so I might be rusty." The classic video gaming excuse.
Yeah. But this controller is clearly broken.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm not used to this kind of controller.
So we were playing where if you were putting your meeple along the track, if you were running up a thing, you'd pick up all the food along that track. That's how we were playing the game. That is wrong, by the way.
Oh, interesting.
Cool.
It's the only reason I know it's wrong, and unfortunately, this is just rule books are hard to write. There's a card that I found, and it's actually for the cheek pouch, which is in an old world monkey trait, which gives you the ability to pick up all of the food as you go by, which is the only way that I found out that we were doing that wrong.
Yeah, we looked at the rule book for like 2 minutes trying to figure that out and compare wording at one place and another. So I'm going to put that down to poor wording in the rule book.
I mean, like I said, rule books are hard to write. They just are. It was very clear that you had to stop on the location of where an extinct creature was located to pick it up. It was a little less clear about if you had to do that for food, but evidently you have to actually choose to stop to collect the food. You don't just get it for walking by it.
That's interesting, because that would have changed it quite a lot. You would have ended up with a lot less food.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing that I maybe you mentioned this, the game has a set number of turns.
It's only 10 rounds in a 4-player game.
10 rounds. And that was part of the logic why we figured, it must be you pick up the food as you go, because otherwise food is a really limited resource.
You'd have to be much more strategic and purposeful about your movement. But even then, it seems like you would really struggle to get some of those more expensive cards. Like you'd have to actively go for them. Like I think the Gigantopithecus card, I think you're using your food to buy these extincts that are out there. It's very expensive.
I wouldn't have been able to steal it from Will.
No, that's right.
Would have been a better game.
But I do say that honestly, with a board game, as long as everybody's playing by the same rules, it's fine, right? And we were definitely all playing by the same rules. It just would have been a little different.
Yeah, it would have just been a lower point total at the end, but the gameplay would have been the same.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I will say, like, the gameplay on this is pretty straightforward. It's like once you set up everything, like you roll your dice, you move your primates, you can aim for some things and try to get them certain ways and such, but it's not a super complex game. It's like we've had some games on the podcast that are very complicated. I'm thinking like Earth or Genotype is fairly complex, even in terms of just how the game plays out. This is a fairly simple game. Roll the dice, move your primates, pick up cards. Doesn't take long to kind of figure it out.
And like all the best games, the game is fun. And the learning happens by accident because when you flip through an entire deck of like, oh, these are all old world monkeys. These are how they're related to one another. And this is how they're related to gibbons. And this is how they're related to this. And these are the extinct things that came on their line. And here are the things that they eat. You're just gonna learn that by playing Primates. I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm gonna come back to. I'm already making my argument for what kind of grade you might be predicting this game's gonna get when we get to that part of the conversation. But we have two paleontologists on this podcast, and we have a game that is about evolution, Earth history, and extinct primates. So, Will, David, I would like to, if it's okay, we could start talking about the science here. Can you tell me about the history of primates, and in particular, the primate niche and its history?
Sure. Primates. So in the grand sort of picture of evolution, mammals get their start around 200 million years ago, right at the beginning of the age of dinosaurs. And primates get their start after the age of dinosaurs. So primates, from our evidence from the fossil record and also evidence from the genetic comparisons with other species, it looks like primates really sort of came into their own around 65 million years ago in the aftermath of the mass extinction that ended the age of dinosaurs. The earliest primates were closely related and very similar to some early rodents and this sort of group of mammals that were relatively small, probably some tree climbing ability, right? There are a lot of rodents today. There are a lot of carnivorans, things like raccoons, that are not fully tree dwellers, but they're able very comfortably to go up and down in and out of trees. Early primates, including groups like the Plesiadapiforms, which are considered to be maybe the earliest primates, maybe cousins of the earliest primates, were beginning to develop these arboreal adaptations, right? Anatomical specializations for spending almost all your time in the trees.
They get compared to squirrels a lot.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, I've always heard that, like, our oldest primate ancestors were more like squirrels than anything else.
Yeah, and squirrels are a great comparison because they are extremely arboreal. And being a tree dweller full time has the benefits of being able to navigate an environment that not many other animals can navigate, being able to get up off the ground and away from the many dangers that can be present on the ground. Squirrels are a really interesting comparison because squirrels are uniquely adapted for going up and down trees. Squirrels are famously able to run, just run straight up and down a tree. I think their wrists turn outward in a way that most animals don't.
Okay.
So squirrel, you think of like a raccoon will climb sort of up and they're grabbing and they're stepping kind of the way we would. Squirrels can fully just run vertically.
That's true. They kind of sprint up a tree. You don't see that often.
They can also sprint down the tree.
Yeah.
Like, they can just move, and their feet also can kind of rotate so that they have hands and feet going in all four directions. Crazy. So they just have a 4-direction grip on the tree and can just Velcro to it.
Okay.
I won't even run down the stairs. Squirrels are really impressive.
So those early primates, did they have sort of what we would consider like the primate hand setup or the early version of that with the fingers and opposable thumb?
Yes, I believe off the top of my head, I believe in early primates, we see evidence for at least the beginnings of grasping hands, like we have, which again, not unique to primates, right? Raccoons have that. A lot of rodents have that. The beginnings of specialization for plant eating. Early primates were going after plant foods. I want to say long and probably prehensile tails are something that shows up very early on. There is also genetic evidence to suggest that enhanced color vision is something that is evolved deep in the primate family tree. Most mammals have relatively limited color vision, not black and white, but most mammals are effectively
red-green colorblind.
Red-green colorblind. Primates are unusual. Primates are not. We're trichromatic, right? We can very clearly see reds, greens, blues, etc. That seems to be something most of us, yes, present company excluded. That's another thing that evolved early on, possibly to help identify fruits and other food stuffs that would be up in the trees.
So our nocturnal mammal ancestors presumably lost one of the three color cones. And actually mammals had to re-evolve, like basically through gene duplication and adaptation, have re-evolved the ability to see in three colors. If you look at like birds, for instance, never lost that original trichromy.
Yeah. Most vertebrate animals have better color vision than we do. Right. Yeah. Reptiles tend to be 3 or 4, right? Trichromat or tetrachromat. A lot of insects have better color vision. A lot of fish have better color vision. Mammals really did downgrade in that regard along the way.
We had to get it back. We had to panda's thumb our way back into trichromy.
And some people have hypothesized that may be why, compared to like reptiles and birds and insects, why mammals are so dull colored.
Oh, why we're so boring.
That you don't get a lot of brightly red and blue and yellow mammals because it's not as useful for us compared to those other animals that can see the vibrance of those colors much better than the average mammal. So you get a lot of brown mammals.
And that's why mammals are so stinky.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
And it also, if you think about what are some of the exceptions, mammals that are using reds and blues for display, it's primates, right? It's baboons, it's mandrills, it's things like that.
Okay.
Okay, so you say that the primates really got their start right after the dinosaur extinction, which immediately brings to mind, like, okay, that sounds like they are occupying a niche that got vacated as part of that extinction. Is that correct?
I mean, what was there before? Like, there were large herbivores and large carnivores and burrowing things and all kinds of things. Like, was there a primate niche before primates, or did they invent the niche alongside with the development of angiosperm trees?
Well, that is, you've hit on the key point here, is that part of what probably allowed them to evolve was the loss of large herbivores and the loss of large carnivores, which meant that there was food to be eaten and safety to be found. But also, there is evidence to suggest that before the dinosaur extinction, forests tended to be more open environments. Because you had all these big herbivores clearing space and stomping through the forest.
Okay.
We see evidence for denser closed canopy forests becoming more common after that extinction. And that was probably a huge boon for animals like primates who live in the trees and are specifically adapted for moving between trees.
I guess that makes sense when your average herbivore is the size of an elephant or larger.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't get a lot of closed canopy with those animals stomping around.
And you need that. You need that closing of the canopy to be able to just be a canopy dweller. Otherwise, you're going to have to go up and down trees.
And there are several lineages of gliding Mesozoic mammals.
Interesting. Interesting. So another thing I was looking through the book and I didn't realize is every one of the little spaces on the phylogenetic tree has a letter and a number. And we were trying to figure it out. It's like we decoded what the letters mean. They're coded to the name of that lineage of that particular branch, including, before the splits had occurred. They're numbered 1 through 7. And I found out in the book that has a meaning too. In fact, it's tied to the era in which that extinct creature would have been found. Like if it has the number 6 or 7, it's from the Quaternary, within the last,
which is the most recent
2.5 million years, the most recent. Anything in 5 was the Neogene, and anything prior to that would have been the Paleogene, 66 million to 23 million. So it's actually also synchronized to time, which is, I suppose, great when you're getting your extinct. It shows you exactly on what branch and exactly what time period it has to be in, right? As you're going up through it. We've got a bunch of different families of primates to talk about, and I really don't know how we want to narrow it down. I did think one thing I wanted to point out is one of the families is tarsiers. And I looked through the tarsier cards because the cards have different abilities based on what the different creatures, the different primates in that group are. There was only one ability for tarsiers. It was leaping. There was the only thing that they mentioned was leaping. So what is a tarsier?
Tarsiers are really they're one of my favorite groups of primates.
Are they the oldest branch? I'm looking here at the board, but I don't have a good image of it.
I think the oldest was actually, and they did the wet-nosed primates, which is combining lemurs as well as lorises and bush babies into a larger group.
Yes. And I don't know which member of them has, but it does look like tarsiers probably is one of the oldest, if not the oldest.
Lemurs in true primates, so the closest living cousins of primates are colugos, which are just outside the group, which are gliders. Then lemurs are the outgroup. So they are the earliest branch of living primates, lemurs, lorises, and so on. Then it's tarsiers, sort of the next branch in. And then everything beyond tarsiers is monkeys. Then your New World monkeys, your Old World monkeys. So tarsiers are the closest primates to monkeys without being monkeys. And then lemurs are one more step out from there.
And all of the lemurs are in Madagascar. Are all of the lemurs in Madagascar?
Yes, I believe that's true.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So unlike marsupials, where we do have the occasional possum who's running around there somewhere, like all of the lemurs are found in one place. And their closest relative, the lorises and the bush babies, are a little bit more distributed than that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they're in broader Africa, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, and there are some in Asia that I don't know which specifically.
The loris is the only it's the only venomous primate is the slow loris. So that's just its weird claim to fame. And lemurs do all kinds of insane things. And I mean, I wish we probably can't really spend a ton of time on it, but the front of the box is the ii, which is one of my favorite primates, which is an absolutely freaky little lemur that is basal even to the rest of the lemurs, and is a primate that is doing the same ecological job as a woodpecker.
Yep.
Yeah. Tell me about this. You guys kept talking about its freaky fingers and stuff, and I have no idea what you're talking about. So explain this, please.
I will happily take this one because this is one of my. I love primates. They're so cool. The ii is a lemur, but it is extremely specialized. They hunt for grubs underneath the bark of trees, and they do this using very sensitive ears and a very sensitive finger that they tap on the bark. Their middle finger has elongated into this very thin, very still dexterous, and it's actually almost like ball jointed at the base. It is extremely dexterous, and they tap on the bark and listen for hollow spaces. And when they find one, they have these rodent-like front teeth that they then gnaw a hole into the burrow or cavity where the grub is. And then they use that long finger, which has a hooked nail on the end, to reach in and fish out the grub. and then eat it and move on to the next one. And that's very much what woodpeckers do. Woodpeckers find spots where grubs are going to be in the wood, bore into it with their beak, peck into it, they're woodpecking, and then they have their tongue is long and barbed to fish out the prey. So it's very similar system.
So they're both highly derived, and they hit on very different solutions to the same problem based on their starting materials.
Yeah.
The third finger, so it's the middle finger that they're using to do it. And my favorite thing and it's just very, very long. It is this unusually
so much
long,
longer,
creepy looking finger. There was a paper that came out recently that got video footage of eyes picking their nose and putting that finger all the way to the base. Just the full finger all the way up in there to get as much reach as they can. Yep. Into the throat. Through the nose.
I'm going to shout out another podcast here, Weird and Dead, because they did a whole episode on the freaky fingers and the nose picking.
That's great.
Oh, absolutely. Of course they did. That's their whole jam, right? The gross things in biology and evolution that nobody wants to talk about. Yeah. There was even some discussion of, well, why do they do this? It's like, I don't know. Humans do it too. Why do humans do it?
It's one of those of like super weird for us to think about doing it. I bet it feels amazing.
It's like a Q-tip in the ear.
Yeah, just way.
When you get
no
that
itch you can't get to.
Yeah.
All right. So we said New World and Old World monkeys. Okay. So we got to talk about this. We got monkeys in South America and we got monkeys in Eurasia. Those are different groups of monkeys. Right?
Yes. So generally speaking, New World monkeys are in the New World. The Americas, Old World monkeys are on the other half of the world.
Okay. But they're not, but you said because of that, phylogenetically, that means that everything between them is also, if we're going to call monkeys a group, that means everything in between them is also a monkey, right? So they share a common ancestor with each other, but like, where did they come from? And where did the New World, are we doing some insane rafting to get monkeys to the New World?
Yes.
That does seem like what happened.
That's exactly what we're doing.
Oh, so this is not like breakup of Gondwanaland or whatever.
No, it wouldn't, because the continents were already split before primates existed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. The earliest monkeys in the Americas, I think, are Oligocene. So like 30 something million years ago, I think is where they are, which is way after the Atlantic Ocean was nice and wide by that point.
Okay.
And all the evidence suggests that the ancestors of New World monkeys rafted across the ocean at some point.
Yeah, from Africa.
There's a ridiculous story to be told there about the monkeys that rafted across the Atlantic and didn't die.
There's a chapter in Riley Black's latest book, When the Earth Was Green, that depicts a scene of this exact thing happening.
Okay, crazy.
You got to figure out if there is some group of monkeys that managed to raft all the way across, there are many, many more that didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and it probably happened multiple times. This is also rodents did the same thing. So there are the group, I think it's caviomorphs, the group that includes like capybaras and porcupines, New World porcupines.
No way.
Also appear to have rafted across around this same time. So for any listeners who are baffled by what we're talking about, a thing that we see happening pretty regularly in the modern world is you will get like a storm will tear a chunk of forest off or something. And then you end up with like a log and a mat of vegetation, just a big chunk of floating trees and leaves and vegetative matter that often has animals in it. And those rafts can go anywhere. And if they make landfall somewhere, those creatures can then crawl off and, go find food and shelter somewhere where they are. Yeah. There is good evidence to suggest that many times throughout Earth history, this process has been responsible for taking a group of animals to a part of the world that was new to them.
Yeah.
Interesting. So then the ocean currents must have a huge. I wonder if you can infer certain things about ocean currents. So, for instance, placentals in Australia didn't happen, so nothing rafted
Right.
and survived.
Yeah.
But then, do New World monkeys, did they go through some kind of crazy bottleneck where basically all New World monkeys are descended from like 50 monkeys who got there at a certain time? Or you said there have been multiple instances of rafting, yes?
Yeah, I think that's from genetic evidence. Now we're a little bit
Yeah.
outside of my familiarity, but
Hmm.
it seems like there are multiple origins of New World monkeys, which probably means that at least a couple of different populations rafted over.
Let's see. Okay, so that's our New World monkeys, and this is our spider monkeys, our howler monkeys, our capuchins, like all. There's owl monkeys, which I saw were the only nocturnal monkeys in the New World. We got lots of nocturnal primates everywhere else, but at least in the New World monkeys, it's just those ones. But then we got our Old World monkeys, and I didn't realize baboons are actually in the Old World monkeys. So of course it makes sense because that's where they're from. Do baboons? Okay, monkeys have tails. This is kind of what
Yes.
we would consider the trait of something being a monkey, is it has a tail, right? And I think we were talking about the color stuff. Was it you guys who were telling me about the bright blue and red in a mandrill is not pigment, it's
Yes.
Yes.
structural.
Yeah. Animals generally can't do blue pigments. So pigments are molecules in the cells that express different colors. Mammals can't do red, and animals, I'm pretty sure animals in general can't do blue. And so blue is structural. The actual structure of the skin or scales or feathers refracts light to make it appear blue. And red in mammals is blood.
Yep.
It's just the tissue becomes flushed with blood very close to the surface.
So other examples of structural colors, you'd say animals, and that even extends to insects. A butterfly's blue wings are the shape of the scales sort of refracting the light to make it blue. The same way that the sky is blue because it's refracting the light in such a way to bounce it around and create blue.
Your blue birds and stuff like that are also like, if you put them in the wrong light, they would stop looking blue because it's just a trick of the light.
Okay, so at this point, there are two groups that we have not talked about that are represented in the primate family tree in the game Primates. Obviously, it's more complicated and more diverse than this. And that is the gibbons and the great apes, or the gibbons I've also heard called as the lesser apes, which seems really mean to make a whole group just to put one thing into as well. Everybody but not you. You can be your own group over here to the side.
I think historically they were considered great apes. And then at some point, as more evidence accumulated, we realized that they were an outgroup. And so that's when they got their own name, the lesser apes, which is a disservice because gibbons are awesome.
I feel like someone who came up with that name was one who was extremely jealous of their ball joint wrists and went, let's call them the lesser apes. That'll put them in their place.
Sounds like they were named by a great ape.
Yeah. Yep.
There's a lot of that going around. We really have to do something about that. Gibbons are also, they're specialist in their form of movement, right? The brachiation. Like they are like, I guess there are other primates that do it, but nobody does it as well. Or is it really just a gibbon thing? First of all, what is it? What is brachiation?
Yeah. Brachiation is a primate specialty in many ways. We can brachiate. So that is being able to hang from your arms and swing and use your arm as the lever you're swinging by.
When you do the monkey bars on the playground and you
brachiation.
go from hand to hand, that's brachiation.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Monkey bars, or rings, or
Yes.
so basically like half of gymnastics.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like that's all brachiation. Other great apes are also very good at it. Orangutans are brachiators, and they are also primarily tree dwellers. They spend very little time on the ground. Gibbons, though, are not only tree specialists and extremely good brachiators, they're like fast. Like gibbons can chase a bird down in the trees. And they are moving with such speed and precision that it just is not comparable to any other group that's doing it, except for spider monkeys that move, but they're not moving in the way gibbons are moving.
Because they're cheating. They've got an extra limb.
Yeah, exactly. Gibbons are insanely acrobatic, and and because they're primates, half the time it looks like it's just for fun, because they are just doing more than they definitely needed to do to get from A to B. And watching a gibbon with the zoomies is fantastic.
They have zoomies in 3 dimensions.
Yes, absolutely. They put the Z in zoomies when they move around. They use that Z axis.
Well, it's an interesting point to make, because we've been talking about how primates are these tree-dwelling specialists, but there are several different methods among primates about how they do this, right? Great apes do not have tails, right? Gibbons have an actual ball and socket wrist joint.
Okay.
They have these incredibly flexible arms. So they're great at swinging and brachiating. Orangutans are good brachiators, but they also do what I think is called scramble climbing.
Okay.
Where they're reaching across branches. They're sort of crawling through the trees.
And with all 4 limbs at once.
Yes. A lot of monkeys have prehensile tails, so they're effectively climbing with 5 limbs. Lemurs are unusual in that they're often vertical climbers. So their body is sort of upright while they're climbing. And they're also leapers. They jump from tree to tree and branch to branch.
Okay.
So even among primates, you have different styles of climbing and getting across and through trees.
Gotcha. Which was that tarsier thing, that sort of that leap, that way of leaping through trees.
Yes. Which is part of why when lemurs are on the ground, they hop.
Which is very fun if you've ever seen Zaboomafoo. It's the
that's what they're good
sort
at.
Of sideways crab bouncing.
Yes.
With their hands held up in the air.
Yeah, they're no longer good at walking around on flat ground. They are made for trunks.
Okay. Gibbons also lack a tail, right? Like if we were to say the thing that we sort of ties all the apes together is that the tail's been, I guess, do we just say it's lost or just extremely reduced?
It's effectively lost.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't think any apes have a functional tail at all. Even when humans, occasionally a person will be born with a tail, but tail is in quotes because it's really just like a little nub at the base of the spine.
So tail loss, is that actually, okay, wait, is a tail just an extension of is a tail made up of vertebra or is it a different set of bones? It is?
It is vertebrae. It's often differently shaped vertebrae. So you can tell in a lot of animals if you're looking at a tail vertebra versus, trunk or neck.
Is that a snake? Is that a snake thing too, David?
Yes. Snakes you can see. You can identify a tail vertebra by itself. Yeah, a tail is actually defined by being an extension of the trunk past the butt that is made of bones and muscle, but there's no organs within it.
Okay, interesting.
So all of our organs are in the body wall, like within the core of the body. A tail is an extension of the body, muscles, vertebrae, but no more organs, and it is beyond the butt.
This is why a lot of your arthropods that have tails aren't actually, like a scorpion's tail is just its abdomen. A scorpion poops out of the tip of its tail right before the stinger.
Oh, no.
Yep. The stinger tail is full of organs. So that is not actually a tail. That is just a long body that has been made into a tail-like structure.
I am. There's a horrible pun that I'm building in my head, and I haven't finished it. So anybody, feel free to pick this up. But it's like bed, butt, and beyond. But anyway, so
it's bod, butt, and beyond.
Yes, there we go.
Body, butt, and beyond.
The tail.
Yes.
So we actually then because we are also apes, and great apes specifically, have literally lost vertebra. Like it's just gone. Like we don't make them anymore.
Yeah.
We've also lost teeth.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah,
Primates
shortened our
reduced
snouts down.
Okay.
Dental count. Mm-hmm.
So we have fewer teeth than other great apes, or just other primates?
Other mammals.
Okay, other mammals.
Yeah.
So great apes, bonobos and chimps are considered separate now, right? I know that they weren't when I was young, but now we consider them two different species, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
They're both in the same genus. They're pan.
Okay.
So chimps and bonobos are our closest cousins.
Okay.
So the great ape tree is orangutans on the outside, right? The early branch, then gorillas, then chimps and bonobos, and then side by side with chimps and bonobos is humans.
Okay.
The hominins.
Okay.
And we can see there that the great apes arrived from best to worst.
Yeah, no, you pretty much got it. The primates, like a successful film franchise. They really nailed it on the first one, and then they've just been trying and failing ever since.
I like the sequel. Gorillas, real cool. The sequel's good. I lost interest after that.
Hey man, I love orangutans. Orangutans are great, but I think we might have a little bit of redhead bias over here.
Yep.
Maybe just a little bit. I don't know.
But long arms and red hair makes me biased. I don't know.
But the one thing I like, okay, so let's actually look at how it's represented in the game. So remember, every one of these creatures that's in the game has a card that's associated with it. They have basically a portraiture of a representative of that species. So there's several different subspecies of chimpanzee, gorillas, orangutans, and each of those have a different abilities. Now, in great apes, there is a card for human. It is not one portrait. It's actually a collection of portraits. There is no ability that's specifically associated with humans. There is no benefit to collecting the human card in the game.
Like D&D, you could be human and you just get an extra feat and that's it. You don't have any special abilities.
I mean, given how many specialized adaptations we have, I think that's an oversight.
I think it was clearly not. It was an active, conscious choice. It's like we are not going to pick a person to represent all of humanity, and we are not going to pick an ability that represents all of humanity. We're basically kicking it down the curb. We're not dealing with it. Here's your human. You're in the great apes. You can collect it if you want. I don't think there's any bonus points that that you get for collecting humans. It's like we can't leave them out because that's wrong. But we're also not gonna let them be the same as everything else.
You make it sound like they were so grudgingly included. It's like, oh,
I kind of think they were. I kind of think they were. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I think we're like, well, we can't leave them out, but we're not going to put them in the game in the same way.
I think the choice to have a collage instead of a single portrait image is an excellent choice.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's such a difficult, because once you start talking about humans, you're in culture territory and you're in modern culture. And how do you pick a single living culture to represent the entire species? That you make it a collage, you skip that issue.
Like doing an ancient human might have been the only way to get around that.
And even then, if you're depicting them as they once lived,
yes,
are they based on particular demographics of living human? How are you?
But you're forgetting the obvious solution is you make them yellow. You just go Simpsons.
That's true.
Yeah.
You could
Lego and Simpsons.
Or Lego. Yes, you just make it a Lego person.
I think we could have had some special abilities: tool use, endurance running.
That's
sure.
Language.
Actually, you're right. Bipedalism actually would have been a very easy thing to go with, which is worth talking about because I know we've all done this. Look at your feet. They are hands. I'm sorry. And it's weird. Like primates have 4 hands. And we tried to turn those hands into feet, and we walk weird, so weird compared to everything. I don't know. What else can you say? There's just humans walk weird. We just do.
Yeah. No, I absolutely think that should have been the ability, and it could have had some mobility thing of like you get to re-roll a low dice when you want to move, and you get to move farther because you're a long distance traveler. Like that's what humans are good at.
If I didn't know. You mentioned the cheek pouch thing. You could also have done the same thing with that.
That's true.
Yes,
because
your
hands are free, right?
Because your hands are free.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, okay. I definitely think that's a little bit of an oversight. I like the D&D mentality. I get potentially where they were coming from, but that definitely feels like it's missing.
Yeah, I think bipedal and tool using specialist. I mean, that's what we are. You can explain well,
Yes.
and there's a couple other things like highly vocal. Humans are incredibly vocal. But not everybody. I understand why they didn't do it. So I guess okay, I'm already into my nitpick territory. You could have given humans something, right?
Yes.
Okay, that is pretty much in terms of the science. We have now crossed the family tree of primates, more or less. We have talked about each of the different groups and a little bit of a weirdness on each of them. Is there something that you guys saw in the game that you'd like to talk about that we haven't talked about?
I liked that the cards focused in on the diverse array of things that primates eat and would give like, here's a food, here's some of the primates that eat this food. And focus in on that because I think very often primates are often very good generalists in that they're not known as picky eaters, but they do have a wide range of specialities. And you get things like gorillas, which are herbivores, like mostly they are specialized for grazing effectively, like not like a cow does, but they are eating bamboo and tough foliage, which is a very specialized herbivore of a primate. So I like that they emphasize the diet more to be like they're not all just eating the typical stuff that you think of a monkey eating or us eating. They're eating a wide variety of stuff.
They're not eating bananas. I don't think they put bananas in the game, actually.
No, they didn't. I think on the Kickstarter page, they say there are no bananas in this game.
Yep.
There were plenty of insects, though.
Yes. And it was really cool because it meant that you'd pick a food card, and the food card would be like a real plant with a scientific name and a portrait. And it means that this game about primates isn't just about primates.
No.
There's also some plants in there. There's some insects. And I think that is both fun because, you're learning even more stuff. You're learning things beyond primates. But it also really drives home a really important part about studying ecology and evolution, which is that you can't just study primates. Because primates live alongside other species and they eat other species. And in order to fully understand any group of animals, you also have to know about other species because that's their predators or their prey or whatnot.
For me, I want to talk a bit about the bonus cards because we didn't actually get to see that many. Due to the nature of the game, I don't think you see that many of the bonus cards in any given game. It's a thick stack of cards, but this is where you have a lot of the other side about primates. So I'm looking on the Kickstarter here. It has things like fission fusion, which is a certain thing that groups of chimps, I think, will do in terms of restructuring their social networks and such. But it's also where you get a lot of how we interact with primates. You mentioned there's like protective legislation. There's a wildlife veterinarian card. There's other things there that are showing how humans are interacting with primates. And since they're all bonus cards, they're probably the good ways we are interacting with primates. I doubt that there is a habitat destruction card or a bushmeat card.
Probably not on the heart track. No, I think that would be a weird way to represent.
To get points for.
Well, and Brian mentioned the sort of passive learning, and there are cards that are like China, right? Primates that live in China. And it's just a list of primates that live in China. And I had a moment, I don't remember, I might have been the China, it was one of those cards. I had a moment sitting there and I looked at one of those cards and I went, oh, I didn't know that species lived in that part of the world. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. And that's, that was a thing that I learned along the way.
I think the other thing to throw out is that this is probably the best cited game that we have played. Not that others are citing it, but if you look at the back of the rulebook, we talk about showing your work and showing your sources. You said every single card has a citation link to it?
As near as I could tell, this board game has an extensive references cited section that is longer than many review papers. Every card, every dietary card, every behavior, everything seems to be linked to an appropriate citation. I'm curious what citation format they used. I didn't check that. You think it's Chicago style? or
I
MLA.
know. But it does mean that they did a lot of work to make sure it's accurate. We talk about hard science versus soft science games. This is definitely a hard science game. They wanted to be true to the actual science out there, to the actual reality, while also making a game that was fun to play.
I was reflecting on this while we were talking, going over the rules and such. The last time we were on your podcast, we had played Holotype. And Holotype is really a game where the mechanics of the game are capturing the scientific process.
Yes.
Right. It's gamified, but it is very much, you're doing the things that actual scientists do.
Yeah. Holotype is about being a paleontologist.
Yes.
Yeah. This game is an interesting approach because the mechanics aren't trying to be one-to-one with primate ecology or evolution. So instead, the primate evolutionary tree is the setting for a game that is built to take place in that setting. We talked during playing that the tree that is the game board is both a evolutionary tree of primates and a physical actual tree. Right, like you can climb between the branches and stuff. And in terms of scientific representation, that doesn't make any sense. Right, that is not an accurate way to depict either of those things. But it makes a game out of this real scientific depiction of primate evolution. And I think they did a really excellent job balancing. You made a game where all of the pieces are scientific things. As opposed to a game where you're like, the game is you're traveling through primate evolution. That's not really what they've done here. They just made a game out of the pieces of primate evolution.
The goal of the game is to learn about primates. The goal of the game is to learn about primates.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot about Periodic, which we did a few episodes back.
That's true.
It's a game where your board is the periodic table. The game is not about the periodic table. That's just the tableau on which you are playing. Here we have the primate evolutionary tree is the game board, even though it's the game itself, the playing of the game is not about that. That is the setting in which you're doing everything.
And I really like that. I thought that was really fun.
Another thing I really like that they included extinct primates in it, not only because are they part of primate evolution, but from a paleo perspective, extinct primates get talked about very rarely.
That's true.
Outside
of humans.
Yeah, exactly. Outside of us and outside of like some big names like Gigantopithecus and stuff like that.
Which is everybody's poster child for Bigfoot, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Most of your fossil primates just look like another primate to most people. Like unless you know what you're looking at, it's just a different kind of monkey, a different kind of lemur, and you don't get the woolly baboons and the saber-toothed gorillas. Like you don't get these oddball fossil primates that stand out so much that they get attention from the general public. So I like that they were included because I was even having moments of like, oh hey, neat. I had never heard of this guy because I'm not a primate specialist, so I don't know any names outside of the couple of famous ones like gorilla lemurs and stuff like that. So it was fun getting to see some of that and have a little more appreciation for a fossil assemblage that doesn't usually get much public attention.
It is really nice. Yeah, because I mean, what is the point of a phylogenetic tree if you're not going to talk about how you got from here to there? It's not just the ends, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and that's also how you build, you were talking about how the different stops along the way on the tree are representative of evolutionary divergence points and point times throughout the evolutionary history of the group. The way we know those times and those points is by looking at fossils.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is another case where there's way more of those cards in the deck than you will ever get through in a single game. Just based on how much food you have to spend, how you have to land exactly on the right spot for them. It's like we maybe only went through like 5 to 8 extinct primate cards the entire game.
Yeah, I was gonna say I want to say we only ended up purchasing like 3 or 4 between the four of us.
They're expensive, and we weren't even doing them correctly, right?
Yeah. And it's a thick deck. So like there's a decent number of them there. And there include like extinct Homo species. I remember seeing Australopithecus was on there. So
also, we've mentioned it here and there, but I just want to give one additional shout out to the ability cards, because all of the ability cards are a real life adaptation of Primates turned into a fun game mechanic. Yeah. Right? It's leaping and it's climbing through the trees and food sharing and cheek pouches. And I think that that's such a fun, again, it's gamifying real world scientific information. And I think that that's really cool.
Yeah. And it's in a way that makes sense, because sometimes we've seen cards in other games where like they have the name and the ability doesn't really have any logical connection to the thing it's representing. But in this case, they did a pretty good job of matching that. Oh, I can understand how this mechanic represents leaping. So like leaping lets you like jump over other spaces or something like that. And this branch swinging lets you swing from one side to another. And there's other things about being able, like if you're a certain food specialist, then you can steal the food or take extra food or something.
Get some food. The social abilities that you'd see a lot of those in the great apes would translate to that social track, that heart track, right? It's like, it's a social bond, so we're going to let you move up that track in a different way. It's like, it's a great way of finding your real thing. What is a fun way of representing the metaphor in what we're doing? And does it make perfect scientific sense? No, but it makes sort of it's good for the vibes, right?
Well, it's also satisfying because like not only does it convert to gameplay that is like, aha, now I get to do a cool thing, but it feels like that also emphasizes, that's what this group's good at.
It's the role play. The role play is fun. You get to pretend that you are one of the primates, right?
And so you get to really appreciate the specializations of like, like you got to be a tarsier for a moment. So you got to jump like crazy because those things are like watching a tarsier move around is like watching a frog. It just goes and it's gone, and then it just lands somewhere else and clings to the and it's just, they're so cool at it. I like that the abilities were emphasizing the cool stuff that the primates can do.
And I think that this style of game, because this is a game where there isn't a goal of the game, right? You can collect points in a variety of different ways. There's different abilities. Everyone's game is a little bit different. Like everyone is collecting different abilities, collecting different cards. There's multiple ways to accumulate points, which I think is a perfect style of game for a game about evolution.
About you got different solutions, different niches that you can occupy.
Exactly. There's different paths to success, and I think that that's a perfect. If this had been a game where there was one goal and everyone was striving for this one specific thing to do, I think it would have been less cohesive with the content.
It wouldn't have felt like Primates.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right. Okay, well, let's move on. Let's do our nitpick corner. So I already talked about mine, and my nitpick is that they didn't give humans any kind of special ability, even though there are some very obvious options. Like even just bipedalism would have been a clear biological thing that you could put on humans. So that's my nitpick. Did anybody else have anything else? And you don't have to nitpick. Nitpicking is fun. Nitpicking, we've already mentioned. From my perspective, I take a lot from Gaming with Science from Silver Screen Science. So this is your little opportunity to have a rant about something about the game that maybe you thought could have been different.
And gotta say, like, if we're gonna be talking a game about primates, nitpicking is totally on brand.
Oh yes, yes, absolutely.
We are picking nits. The only thing that comes to mind, because I didn't think about this ahead of time because I forgot. But the first thing that comes to mind is I think it would be cool if there was more variety of meeples available. So there are 4 meeples, as we mentioned. Each one is a different type of primate on the tree. And again, this came up the last time we were on the show. I love the role play aspect. My meeple was the bush baby when we were playing, and I happened to be, because of where I was sitting in relation to the board, I was near the bush baby side of the tree, and I couldn't really see very well the opposite side of the board. So I said, all right, I'm just going to focus on this side because this is my tree and I'm the bush baby and that's cool. And I think if there were also meeples, because there's only 4 different types of meeples and there's 6 nodes on the tree.
Yeah, there's 6 there's 6 tips on the tree. So
and at the very least, it'd be cool to have one for each of the branches. But also if there was a gorilla option and if there was a variety, I think that would be cool. I think that'd be fun. This is a light nitpick because it didn't actually take away from the game, but I think that'd be a fun thing to have.
This is honestly, this is a nitpick. This is a marketing idea.
That's true.
This is advice.
They just need to be selling expansion packs with the new meeples and the new players.
I wouldn't be surprised if there is that, or if it was like a stretch goal or something on the Kickstarter.
Because that would be cool. The only thing that comes to mind for me was that, and we would have to play again with the actual rules, but if you are only going to pick up food when you land on it, that seems like it's going to be even more difficult to get extinct cards.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have to land on the space that the extinct primate is on to even get the chance to buy it. Like, and this is purely just, I'm a paleontologist. I want to get the extinct cards, and it feels like there's a lot of barriers in the way to getting the extinct cards. It's more just, but the cards I'm excited to get are the ones that I have to go through multiple hoops to even get a chance to maybe get them if I have the food that I need when I'm able to land on that space.
And David doesn't beat you by a turn.
Exactly. There's lots of hoops. David is one of the hoops.
This is how both games so far, it seems that my preferred way to play a game like this is to role play as a character and troll Will.
Hey, I'm feeling very seen right now. But it obviously didn't hurt you. I think you did really well, David. But actually,
it was a winning strategy this time.
Yeah, for sure. Trolling Will is always a winning strategy if you're a friend.
You win if you win, and you win if you don't.
Yes.
Why are you buying the extinct primates with? Why are we collecting food to buy extinct primates? The extinct primates don't need any food. They're already dead.
Yeah.
That's true.
You're
Well,
spending...
you need to use food to pay your excavators.
Oh, okay. With all of that insect protein.
Yes, that's exactly. There's no money in the game.
And honeydew.
And durians.
What about you, Jason? You got anything to pick out?
My only nitpick is also that humans aren't special. It's like, oh, come on. So,
well, it's definitely got a little bit of. This is one of my common complaints that comes up with like people recognize the superpowers that cats have all the time. That they can see in the dark and they're agile and they have claws, and then dogs are just dogs so much of the time that people don't recognize that it's like they have one of the most powerful sense of smells on our planet. They also have night vision, and they are incredible stamina runners. So like, I think humans are getting a little bit of that treatment. Where it's like, well, it's a human. What can they do? Many things.
I'm wiggling my hands in front of the camera right now. Like, here, that's a thing. That's a very important thing.
We created a piano, which is all about us just going to the 10, the 11 on how dexterous we are.
Just showing off.
Yeah, like, we are incredibly cool animals. It's just very easy to get bored with it because we're around us all the time. Yeah. And I feels like one of those cases.
I guess Gibbon's got that crazy brachiation ability. It's like we're doing that with our fingers, right?
Yeah.
Like,
okay. Well, let's move on to grades. We are going to combine fun grade and science grade, so you can just do them back to back. I think I've already made it really obvious that I think this is a pure A on science for me. And for fun, I'm just going to knock it down just a little bit as an A minus. Because maybe that's not even fair. No, I'm going to stick with the A-. I just want to play this game more, which maybe that means I should actually be giving it an A. I don't know. Because if for me, if my grading is how often do I want to pull it out and play it, like I actually, from this conversation alone, I want to play this a couple more times. Jason, can we play this a couple more times?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. All right. What about you, Jason? What do you think?
So I will also give it an A for science. I mean, that citation list alone should merit an A, but also just the quality of the depictions and being accurate in the little things that don't have to be accurate, like the letters and numbers for the points, the spaces on the board, which they don't like come out right and tell you this. They're just there, but you can dig and you can find the information if you want it. I think definitely A for science. I would put it at a B to a B plus for play. I also want to play it again, but I want to play it again to see all the components I didn't get to see the first time. I actually felt that the depth of strategy was shallower than I like. That the decision points were relatively simple. And so I prefer more strategic depth in my games than I felt I got out of this. I think it's a beautiful game. I think it was fun to play. I just think I would probably get bored of it after a few go-arounds.
Was it a little bit too random for you, basically?
No, not that actually. It's just that the decision points I think are relatively, because you have this one board that's actually fairly small, and there's literally only 6 paths you can go up. There's not that many things I have to balance to figure out what is the optimal play this time.
Gotcha.
And it rarely felt like I had to make a decision between here are 3 different things I want and I can only pick one of them. It was usually like, oh, that's the best choice. That's the best choice. That's the best choice.
Now I'm curious because, like I said, the Tarsiers only have one ability. So if you definitely want a leaping ability card, all you need to do is go up that Tarsier route and you have one for sure. I don't know if that's a winning strategy, but it is a reliable one.
I think my grade, I think, would be close to Jason's of A plus for science. I'm so blown away by how well they did. And the attention, and it's a love letter to primatology. Like it's just, there's so many cool details and neat examples that they put in there. And then fun wise, it's I think somewhere in the B's. I had fun, I enjoyed it, but I did not feel like what's the word I'm looking for? Like pumped for my turn. Like it was very much like I'll just roll and I guess I'll see what happens. Because like I if I move with all of them, then that very much decides what I can do. There's not like a huge number of paths, and so much can happen between my turns that there's no point in like planning what I'm going to do, because
that's true.
The food I was going to get got grabbed. The extinct one I was going to got grabbed. So I'm just going to roll in and then I will just apply numbers and then turns over. So like I wasn't invested in my turn of like, oh, let's see, I've been planning this, or I've been, getting ready, the same way that like holotype, where I felt like I was like, all right, I'm aiming for something. I've got a goal in mind and I'm working toward that over multiple turns. This one was just where the dice roll is and land is what happens.
Yeah, the fact that there's no private hand probably contributes to that. Just because you can't have like, oh, this is my thing I'm working towards and no one else can take this from me. Like everything's out on the board. It's like, if you don't grab it this turn, someone can grab it before your next turn. What about you, David?
Yeah. I am going to say, I'm at this point saying the same things that everybody else has said. I think A for science, absolutely. Extremely well.
Consensus.
Put together. And then play, I'd say a B, maybe a B plus. I think it was fun. I think that it's an enjoyable game to play, the same way that like a beautiful looking video game is fun to play, because I get to look at it and it's great. I think that I agree with some of what Jason was saying, that it feels like my decision-making opportunities are a bit limited in this game. That there are things that it would be fun to do, like the extinct primates, it'd be fun to go for, but there's not really much of a way to plan for that. Also, like Jason said, I wish there were ways to see more options in the game with the primates, the extinct primates, with the bonus cards. For the most part, there's a handful of them available. There's not a lot of ways to dig through them. You don't get them very often. So the game and then there's all very limited. There's only 10 rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I found myself, as the game was getting close, I was kind of bummed that we were almost done, because I wanted to be able to explore more and do more and build up more resources and stuff.
Hey, you'd have to play this game many times to really get to see everything the game has to offer.
Yeah. I feel like I'd want to play it for way more than 10 rounds. That if I played it again, I'd just break the round cap and do it multiple times.
Just take the rounds out, just keep shuffling the diet cards, just keep going. Yeah.
And then just quit when we've hit a time we feel like we're done.
All that said, I think that it is a really nice game. I think that sometimes I find myself, I get overwhelmed with a board game if there's too many options to be made, or if it's too strategy based or too competitive. Then it can start to feel a little bit less accessible or a little bit more stressful. So I do like a game where this is an easy game to play casually.
True.
Right. I don't feel like I'm having to put in a whole lot of thought to it. I don't feel like I'm having to worry about getting scooped or somebody, running away with it. It does feel a bit more friendly and accessible in that way.
Yeah. Well, because you can't really play like a wrong strategy. If you are moving your primates up the tree, you will eventually get to the end of the tree and get a primate. Like, even if you're just moving them and rolling dice, and like, you will get primates. You're not going to be just shooting yourself in the foot because it's like, no, you didn't do this, so you just don't get that thing that you were aiming for. You will get primates. Right. You will get cards. So even just playing it as unstrategically as possible, by the end of the game, you're going to have 4 or 5 primate cards that will be your little collection, and that's still fun.
Yeah. I would be interested to play this game with kids.
Ooh, for sure.
I think that, because like Jason said, it's not, there's a bunch of different parts to this game, but the actual gameplay is pretty straightforward and simple to understand. There's not a lot of detailed strategy, but there's a lot of fun in it. There's a lot of really cool pictures, and there's a lot of really evocative abilities, and you have your meeples, which are big and very visually exciting. I think that it feels like it's a fun family game.
Yeah, I could see it. I almost feel like middle school would be a good area for this, because they'd have enough strategic complexity and they'd be able to really get it. Whereas if you played with this with like an 8-year-old, it's like, okay, they're just a bunch of monkeys and such. But an 8-year-old, like an 8th grade or something, then it's like gateway primatology. And so,
right.
Primatology, not even once. All right. You know what? We may not have time to do this, but I did want to ask, and I'm sorry, I know we're already running along. Do you guys have a favorite game, or just a game that you really like? Because we've been asking people that, and I know we're already over. Do you have a board game, or it doesn't have to be a board game, and it doesn't have to be a favorite, but what's a game that you like?
I don't have a sciencey one that comes right to mind.
It doesn't have to be a science game. We literally had like Monopoly or something. Like,
the one that I've played, like board game I've played recently, that I haven't gotten to play it as much as I want to, but I've gotten to play it a number of times with a number of people, and I really like it, is the Alien board game, the Escape the Nostromo, the Nostromo, which is the first Alien movie as a board game. Each person takes control of one of the crew members who has their own ability, and then the alien is an auto unit that moves toward the nearest player.
It's a true monster. It's just responding to stimuli.
Exactly. So you are just trying to get tasks done, and it's great because it's you're fighting the ticking clock, because like one of the things is the self-destruct sequence gets activated, so you now have this many rounds before everything goes off. And it's got this very fun, we all are working, like, it's your turn next. You should go do this, because then I can do this. And if you get this to them, they can get it to me, and I can build the thing. And we're planning 5 turns ahead because we've got 7 turns left. And it feels like the movie. It captures the movie really well, and I love it.
It sounds really fun, actually.
It's called Fate of the Nostromo.
Fate of the Nostromo. There we go.
Yeah, I've played Nemesis, which is basically Alien with the serial numbers filed off, and it's also fun. Sounds like it plays similarly, actually.
Cool.
Well, I might need to go to the Board Game Cafe and see if they have that. That sounds like a lot of fun.
It's great.
How about you, David?
The first thing that comes to mind is a game that I played once many years ago that I've been thinking about ever since, which was called Pitch Storm, which is a game where the whole premise is it has sort of that apples to apples thing where one person is the judge and all the other players are.
Oh, it's like a party game.
It's a party game, absolutely. Yeah. But the premise is that you're pitching movie ideas to, a studio or whoever, and you just have to like improvise studio ideas or improvise movie ideas. And as you're pitching it, they can throw out cards to like modify your prompt, and you have to adjust it on the fly.
So you get like studio notes, basically.
Yeah, it was so much fun. It was just like a fun, goofy improv party game. And I played it one time at a friend's wedding, and that was the only time I played it, and I had a great time. I think I did really well at it, which helps. That helped me to enjoy it. And that game was super fun, and I've been thinking about it for the last 10 years or however long that's been.
Okay, so awesome. Now all those Common Descent listeners that have come to the podcast, you know what to send to their P.O. box, right?
Okay. You're going to get 47 copies of Pitch Storm.
And then I'll sell them. Make some money off of this.
It's all a con, guys.
Yes, exactly. This is just a pyramid scheme.
All right. Well, now that we've revealed that, we should probably go ahead and wrap up the podcast. Thanks, guys. Guys, thank you for coming on.
Oh, come find us. We are hosts of a podcast called Common Descent, which is a podcast about paleontology, evolution, and the history of life on Earth. Every episode, we tackle a main topic suggested by our audience, and we also talk about science news, and occasionally we do little side discussions where we talk about science in movies, and we speculatively evolve monsters during October. We actually, if this is coming out around Darwin Day, will be...
The timing's perfect, actually.
The timing is pretty great because we will be in the midst of releasing a special series in February where we'll be speculatively evolving Pokemon.
This is Poke-E, the series. Is it going to be for Pokemon?
We will be doing 5 episodes where we will be speculatively evolving legendary Pokemon.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, everybody look forward to that. Go listen to Common Descent. Go listen to Poke-E. I'm going to wrap it up there. Listeners, I hope you have a great month and great games.
And as always, have fun playing dice with the universe. See ya.
This has been the Gaming with Science podcast, copyright 2026. Listeners are free to reuse this recording for any non-commercial purpose as long as credit is given to Gaming with Science. This podcast is produced with support from the University of Georgia. All opinions are those of the hosts and do not imply endorsement by the sponsors. If you wish to purchase any of the games that we've talked about, we encourage you to do so through your friendly local game store. Thank you, and have fun playing dice with the universe.